you haven't been able to guess already, I'm American. And like most females growing up in the 80s and 90s in America, I religiously watched the Oprah Winfrey Show. I loved her. In fact, I kind of thought we should be friends. We both like dogs. And the other thing is that I really wanted her to teach me how to have an aha moment. If you don't know what an aha moment is, Merriam-Webster's actually put it in their dictionary thanks to her. And their definition is as follows. It's a moment of sudden realization, inspiration, insight, recognition, or comprehension. And I figured, yeah, that's something I could do. Why not? With her help. But the next thing that happened is her and Eckhart Tolle got together, and they kind of dug a little deeper. They decided that an aha moment was some sort of spiritual awakening. It's when something outside of you resonates with something deep inside of you that was dormant. Now, I had a little bit of an issue with this because I'm not the most spiritual person you've ever met. However, I'm very competitive. So I figured I could still have this type of moment as long as I negotiated with spirituality just to sit to the side and let me go forward. The other thing with being competitive is I really didn't want to have a small aha moment. I wanted something pretty big. I didn't want one of these daily things where you're driving to work and you get caught in a ton of traffic and you kind of get all aggro and then you think the universe is trying to tell you you need to practice your patience. No, that's not what I was looking for. So today I'm going to tell you how I did get my aha moment, and in hopes that maybe some of you can follow suit. But for me, my moment led to the following. It led to quitting my job, starting an animal rescue, immersing myself in Indian culture, and blowing all of my savings. Now, as you can see, the last one is not recommended, but I just want to be honest with you. So what happened? It was about 2008. I was turning 40, and life was good-ish. I mean, I was living in Boulder, Colorado. I was snowboarding on the weekends. I had a good job. I had great friends. But I still felt something kind of gnawing inside of me, something that I felt like I had to be doing. There had to be something more to do in my life. So one day I met a friend of a friend, someone who I'd never met before, and I was just sort of talking to him. And he said to me, you know what? If you really want to fuck with your head, go to India. So guess what? I don't know if I had any sort of spiritual awakening at that point in time, but I did know that I did have to go to India to fuck with my head. So 6 months later, I went. Now, a lot of my friends were like, what's going to happen? I mean, India is the land of spirituality and yoga and gurus and meditation. It sounds pretty peaceful. And I was like, let me be the first to enlighten you. It may be all of that, but it also is the land of honking, pollution, poverty, and limited personal space, all of which was very shocking to my American psyche. However, what really, really shocked me the most was the amount and the condition of the dogs living on the street. I had been to other developing countries, but I'd never seen anything quite like this. Everywhere I turned, I felt like I was seeing shaking, dying puppies in one corner and dogs, fighting for a scrap of food, a scrap of garbage on the ground, and it was heartbreaking. I was really worried about this one dog in particular that lived right near the preschool where I volunteered every day. And he was missing a lot of fur, he was scabby and bloody, and even the kids in the preschool would throw rocks at him. And I was just horrified. I just didn't understand what was going on. I started asking people who lived nearby if there's anyone to call, if there was anyone that could do something to help this dog. And I was always met with indifference. I was met with either being ignored, shoulder shrugs, maybe a little head wobble, and I just felt helpless. But luckily, somehow, on my trip there, I met a man who actually was gathering volunteers to give treatments to the street dogs in need. So I told him about this dog, and he promised to go visit and see if there was anything they can do. So a few days later, I'm going to the preschool for my volunteer placement, and this one guy comes running up to me, super animated. He's like, ma'am, Tommy, he's doing great. And I'm like, who in the world is Tommy? And he's like, the dog you called about. My sister's giving him medicine thanks to the doctor, and he's feeding him. And I'm like, what? The dog you couldn't care less about 2 weeks ago has a name, and you guys are taking care of it. I was just very happy, but just completely dumbfounded. And my head just started spinning. Like, how did this happen? Just because I opened my big mouth and asked him questions, it made a huge shift in someone's thoughts about a stray dog. And it maybe saved this dog's life. And I was just thinking, did India just fuck with my head? Yes. Yes, it did. And I actually recorded this at the time with this lovely selfie to remember how I felt during this time period. Now, around now, I hated to admit it, but Eckhart Tolle and Oprah were probably right. It's hard to have a moment like this and not have some sort of spiritual awakening. I still hesitate to use that word because I don't like it, but that is what happened. Something really deep within me resonated, and I knew that I needed to do everything in my power to help the stray dogs of Dharamshala. And I also wanted to do it by helping to change the viewpoint of the locals about these dogs. I'd seen it happen once, and I wanted to see if we could keep repeating this action. So what happened is that my competitive side teamed up with my newfound spiritual side and flew myself back to America to see how I could get started. So I get back to America, and I'm telling all my friends and family about my time in India and what I'm going to do. And of course, they all think I'm absolutely bonkers. What are you talking about, Deb? You're going to do what? So my spiritual gut really didn't waver. I knew this was something I had to do. However, the competitive side of me definitely was taking a beating. And I started to think, who the hell do I think I am? What do I know about starting a charity in India? What do I really know about saving animals? So coming from a sales type background, I'd been through many trainings. And I found this quote from Dale Carnegie about fear. And it goes as follows. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. So that's what I did. I went to India and I got busy. So today, when people meet me, the first question they ask is like, how in the world did you end up in India starting an animal rescue? And now you guys know. And somehow I was capable to find the resources and the people to help me get moving. And what I also realized is that there were many locals that really did want to help the stray dogs, but they just had no idea on how to go about it. So I wanted to just support them in any way I can, or any way I could, so that they could be the true agents of change in this community. And here are some of those folks. These guys are true heroes. They're working every day in the community. Looking back at my experience with Tommy, I realized that the family learned that dogs can bring happiness, love, and affection just by giving them food and by giving them care. I realized that when you treat stray animals as part of the community, as opposed to unwanted pests, that is when the true magic happens. It is the realization that the stray animal population can be managed with compassion and education instead of neglect and cruelty. In the past 9 years, I've now seen this human-canine connection happen 1,000 more times. We've realized that when the locals have a number to call about when a dog's sick, and when it needs a rabies vaccine, when it needs surgery, the connection develops. So much so that today we even have many families that adopt these stray dogs into their homes as their pets. What's even happened is that one of our rescues has become a celebrity of his own, and he has his own Instagram page. All joking aside, let me leave you with these 3 things. 1, be kind to strays. They didn't ask to be stray, and you may just find a new best friend. 2, taking even the smallest step, asking even the littlest question can lead to change. And yes, change can happen because I've seen it with my own eyes. And lastly, I leave you and encourage you to step into fear and fuck with your head. And you may just find your true heart.